honestly, the biggest story in the world right now is, I think it's called the TRIPS waiver. And what that is lifting the patent protections for Big Pharma when it comes to the COVID vaccines. The reason I say this is the biggest issue in the world is because, I don't know if you noticed, we're in a pandemic. We're in a pandemic, and we have now created multiple vaccines for this virus, and it's only really rich countries that are getting vaccinated now. And it's a global community now because of air travel. So if you have, a horrendous COVID outbreak in any country, you pick the country, it's eventually going to get to every country in the world. That's what originally happened. So to vaccinate the wealthier countries and then sort of leave the developing countries out to dry, that's on top of being genocidal, it's also suicidal, because it's going to come back to bite everybody in the ass. Now, there's this weird concert going on now, this vaccine concert, and nobody has mentioned a single fucking thing about lifting the patent protections for Big Pharma. And so it's this weird kabuki theater of public health when the actual public health answer, nobody's even talking about it. In elite society, it's a non-issue. You don't talk about it. And Biden has been considering lifting that patent protection for Big Pharma for months now. And it's insane to think about it for months. Guys, I don't know how else to say this. Hundreds of thousands or millions of people will die if you don't lift the patent protections. In other words, allowing anybody who can to make the vaccine generically. So, but it's getting worse. Look at this. This is in the Financial Times. Vaccine makers have warned U.S. officials that temporarily scrapping patents for COVID-19 shots would risk handing novel technology to China and Russia, according to people familiar with the talks. As industry lobbying has escalated in Washington, companies have warned in private meetings with U.S. trade and White House officials that giving up the intellectual property rights could allow China and Russia to exploit platforms such as mRNA, which could be used for other vaccines or even therapeutics for conditions such as cancer and heart problems in the future. Do you understand what their argument is? Big Pharma is saying, hey, you can't lift our patent protections on the COVID vaccine because China and Russia might get our new mRNA technology and then they might cure cancer or heart disease. That would be a wonderful thing. That would be amazing. That would be the best thing ever. I don't care who comes up with a vaccine or a cure for cancer or heart disease. I just want the cure to exist. You don't? But that's the thing. They don't. They don't. Because if Russia or China comes up with it, then our big pharma companies can't cash in on it now, can they? And all they see is dollar signs when they think of that. That's all they see. That's all they see. Literally the dumbest, most genocidal thing I've ever read. So now not only are they saying, we don't want to lift the patent protections, we don't want to lift the intellectual property rights, to give the world the COVID vaccine so we defeat COVID, now not only are they saying that, they're also saying, God forbid we have Russia or China or some companies there cure cancer or heart disease. They would do it with our technology, and then we can't make billions and billions and billions off of that. They write this as if regular people are supposed to sympathize with them. Do you realize how insane and psychopathic and sociopathic and genocidal you guys look writing this? How do you not see it? How do you not see it? How do you not see that this is not a debate in the rest of the world? All these countries have signed on to that TRIPS waiver because to say we're going to not allow you to make your own COVID vaccines, you're saying to them, sorry, thousands or millions of people will have to die from COVID to protect pharma's profits. And that's the other thing. From just a politics perspective, forget the morality of it, which we shouldn't, but forget it for a second. From a politics perspective, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because now what's going to happen? China or Russia has their own COVID vaccine. They could send that to the rest of the world, and then they win brownie points with other countries. Then you have allegiance flips more to Russia. China can do the same thing, sort of like with the Belt and Road Initiative, where they're building infrastructure in developing countries, and it's sort of like it's their own imperialist project where they can get people more subservient to them by genuinely helping them by building infrastructure. You know, we do it by force. We do it at the barrel of a gun. We invade countries and destroy them and then exploit them. China wants to exploit them after helping them build their infrastructure, which is just politically more intelligent. On a human level is more intelligent. So you're leaving the door wide open for other countries to step in as the global leader. Right now, the U.S. is the world's sole superpower, and, you know, what we're doing is we're making it much more likely somebody else takes that role and takes it quicker. Because you're too dumb to realize if you have a vaccine for a pandemic, you have to share it with the rest of the world. And there's all these lies that have come out around this issue too, where they say, oh no, the reason that we're doing it is because we can't guarantee the safety of vaccines made in whatever, some Indian pharmacy or what have you. And that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because even if the vaccines aren't safe, to have no vaccines at all, like to have COVID and nothing to fight back against it, more people are going to die that way. So even if you say the vaccines are less quality or whatever, it still would be better to let them do it. But I don't even buy that argument that they're making, that, oh, they're going to be worse quality and we can't, guarantee their quality. Who cares? It's a pandemic, son. All hands on deck. Do whatever the hell you got to do. So that means, every place that can make vaccines should make vaccines. And Pharma lies and says, oh, every place that can make them is making them, and so this is a non-issue. But there's been detailed stories of people who are like, I can make the vaccine, you just got to give me the green light. You just have to let me know I'm not going to get totally destroyed with endless lawsuits from Big Pharma. You have to waive that patent protection. You have to get rid of the intellectual property rights. It's a fucking pandemic. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Big Pharma are beyond criminal. And shame on Biden for not doing this. On day one, this is a no-brainer. To do a genocide or not do a genocide, that is the question. And now they let the mask slip again. We can't give this to the rest of the world because then maybe somebody will cure cancer or heart disease. And that would be terrible because we can't make billions if somebody else cures it. Nationalize big. I've never seen a better argument for nationalizing Big Pharma. And don't give me this bullshit about, well, then they're not incentivized to do research and development. Really? There's not incentive to try to cure heart disease and cancer? There's no incentive in that? I'm pretty sure that's all incentive to do that because you don't want to die of heart disease or cancer. And by the way, the government already does the spending for the research and development. It's the National Institute of Health, $41 billion they spent on it. And then Big Pharma buys the patents, taxpayers pay for the research, find something, then Big Pharma swoops in, buys up the rights to that stuff, and double charges you and price gouges you on the back end. So no, $41 billion worth of research and development with our tax money, we should get that for free. We should get it for free. And it would be for free if we nationalized it because it'd be paid for with tax money. So this is ridiculous. Every day, they prove that they shouldn't have this power, that we should nationalize Big Pharma, because this truly is genocidal, and I find it amazing that we're having a debate on what to do.